You thought just because it was summer, things were going to be slow.
No.
You know,
it never slows down
time.
around here.
It never slows down on the Flame Central podcast, powered by Alcova Mortgage. Holy smokes, Matt Warner.
Taelon Peter.
Taelon Peter was drafted. I mean, did you listen to the ESPN guy that was like wow, this was not
like
on
they
my
were
job.
scrambling. Like I could just imagine like all these assistant folks around just like scrambling for any information they could find.
Well, the best thing that could happen to them, they were at break when that pick was when Taelon was picked.
It
by
still
the
wasn't
Pacers.
long enough for them to learn how to say his name correctly,
That
but
is very
they
true.
did get some information on him. I mean, I woke up. I was not awake for the draft.
You
at that
weren't
point.
watching the draft live?
I was not.
You didn't have a draft party?
No. I used to be really into the NBA draft.
Yeah.
Loved it. That's kind of faded some over the years. So, I went to bed. I wake up. I've got like multiple text messages. Can you believe it? Taylor's drafted. So cool.
I couldn't believe it. I
No.
couldn't believe it. He was drafted 54th overall. Tell us some of the history of Liberty Flames being drafted, because I was like, okay, since I've been here, I know nobody's been drafted, obviously, like the invites to the G League and all of that. But I was like, has a Liberty Flame ever been drafted in the NBA?
Not since you've been born, I guess. No, 2 times. So this was the 3rd Liberty player to ever be drafted in the NBA. The first player in the Division I era. So you have to go back 40 years to the last draft pick.
40 years.
Cliff Webber was drafted in the 4th round, a round that no longer exists, by the Celtics in 1985. Interestingly enough, because I was just doing a little digging, he was taken at the end of the 4th round. A little bit before him in that round, Spud Webb and Arvydas Sabonis were both taken. So that might have been the greatest 4th round ever, you know, that he ended up going. Those guys had great careers. And then the other guy that was picked, Ezra Hill, in 1984. That was in the 10th round by the Suns. Obviously, that round doesn't exist either.
Yeah.
So 40 years we've been waiting for a Flame to get picked. And not that I'm surprised, because I think Taelon Peter isn't worthy.
Right.
But it's so hard to get drafted. Like we were just talking before we started taping here, like the rosters are so small. Like it's hard to make it in the NBA. Harder than like football, for instance, where you have much bigger rosters, or baseball.
Right.
And so to see him be picked, like the first thought in my mind was, and we knew he worked out for 7 different teams.
I think so, yeah.
Was, okay, obviously the Pacers like him a lot, but also they must have thought someone else really liked him as well. Maybe not to draft him, but maybe they thought, we don't want to have to try to outbid or try to hope that we can convince him to sign with us as a free agent. Let's just take him and not have to worry about any of that.
Yeah, and that was probably smart, because when you do look at his athleticism, if you get him in a workout, I don't care what team he played for, what competition he played against, the kid is so athletic. And I think another thing that stands out about Taelon Peter to some of these like GMs, coaches, and just the teams in general is just his selflessness. You know, this guy came off the bench. He clearly could have been a starter at really multiple teams and programs across the nation at the Division I level, and just how he adjusted so well from D2 to D1 ball. You get him in the right system and in the right franchise, and I just feel like there's nowhere to go but up. But I think he'll take advantage of the opportunity.
For sure.
It will be really hard, which I want you to touch on that in just a moment. We do have some great interviews coming on this edition of the Flame Central podcast.
Joe will join us for the interviews.
Joe is joining us for the interviews. We don't want to work him too hard.
Right.
You know, he's like
one day a week.
He's slinging all those Alcova Mortgage deals, so we don't want to bother him too much. But we do have some great interviews with Mike Hagen and Marshall Roberts. Some interesting information about some Flames Club news, and just about the Hall of Fame in general and how that's selected.
And some
all
NIL questions that maybe are answered as well, because a lot of people are curious about how it looks now in this NIL world with so much of it being done by the school now. We'll get some of those questions answered. Yeah,
so stay tuned to see how you can try to get me inducted into the Liberty Hall of Fame as an administrator and the best Flame Central podcast host of all time.
It's possible.
But how difficult, it's great to be drafted, but you said it multiple times, rosters are so small in the NBA, and you have the G League, but like look at all the players that are overseas.
Right.
Like even guys that are playing overseas that have had established NBA careers.
Yeah.
It's not easy to not only get drafted in the NBA, but stay and actually play in the NBA.
Or even guys that have gone overseas, been great overseas, and can't get a crack back at the NBA. Like, it is very hard. So just going like, let's first off, second round pick, your contract is not guaranteed. They can guarantee you a contract. They have that option, but you're not guaranteed a contract. So it's not like you're going to be on the roster come opening night this season. So it's still a little bit of a long road. When you take a look at the 54th overall pick, kind of the history of it, like I was trying to look, okay, let's just go look at that pick. Who's some interesting guys that have been picked 54th?
Numbers that matter.
The
People
numbers
that matter.
Since 2000, the most successful, and it's not really even close, 54th overall pick is Shake Milton. Shake Milton from SMU. He's played 7-8 years in the league, averaged like 8 points a game. He's had some okay, he's kind of a role player. That's by far the most successful guy in that pick. So when you get to this point, it's just few and far between guys that have like really had a huge impact. But so just to give you some context there, it's going to be difficult. But as you said, this is not like your mid-major guy who it's like, well, he's a nice shooter, but he lacks this.
Right.
Like state champion high jumper, like freak athlete, like great shooter. Like he was, what was the stat we saw? Number 1 in the nation in terms of guards of true shooting percentage, which measures like basically your shooting efficiency kind of a broader way. It kind of encompasses a lot of other factors. So like he has been elite in that. And also, we talked to Richie McKay. He was on this podcast, a month or two ago, and he told us off camera, and I don't think I'm going to get in trouble for this, that there was
Don't make me edit any more than I have to. In this.
That there was a team, and I have to assume maybe it was the Pacers now, given what we've seen, that their analytics, whatever their formula was to determine like the most efficient players in the country, in terms of the wing position, they had Cooper Flagg 1, Taelon Peter 2.
That's wild.
So that was going into the draft process.
So you're telling me he should have been drafted 2 overall?
So I'm just saying, there are a lot of factors involved that go into why I think he can be successful. The athleticism, the shooting ability, he's not undersized.
Right.
We saw him get better defensively. If you're saying, like, where's he going to have to improve? I would say continue to improve defensively. And for me, I would say the ball handling. Like, because you're probably going to, and he's a great catch and shoot guy, but I would say that would need to continue to improve as well. But in terms of athleticism, all that, it's all there.
How much do you have to weigh, though, the competition that he did face? Because that's what people say all the time. I'm just being the devil's advocate here about, he's shooting against guys that might not be as talented of defenders he's going to see in the NBA. How much of a factor is that?
There might be a little bit of that. I mean, we remember talking to guys after the Oregon loss, and they talked about, that length maybe bothered us a little bit more. We haven't, seen length like that. So that will be an adjustment. But I think what helps him too is like, this isn't a guy that got his points like beating people off the dribble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like, he's in the post and he's just more physical. He's a post player that can just back down smaller guys at a mid-major level. So I don't think the way that he scores the ball, I think translates better than, some other guys that are probably taken in a similar spot in this draft. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that has a chance to help him. And they're going to give him every chance. The Summer League starts July 10th. So
and that's Orlando or Vegas? Vegas. Okay.
So like Pacers' schedule's already out, which is really cool too. I didn't realize like every game is on an ESPN platform. So you can watch all these games. So like, you can go look, Pacers put out their schedule. You can watch, Taelon and see how he performs out there.
Yeah.
So that's going to be fun here in just like a week and a half. We're going to be able to see him in a Pacers uniform.
That's going to be so crazy. So crazy. And what a team to join, right?
Right. You're coming off
But
Eastern
that's
Conference
even
chance.
harder, right?
But you also have Tyrese Halliburton out. So maybe they view it as like a, not a rebuild, but like kind of we know.
Because he'll be out all next season?
I think so. It's an Achilles injury, so that's usually hard to do. So like that.
Come on, Aaron Rodgers it.
Right. There may be an opportunity there for him to get some additional time, but like That is exciting. Yeah, I do have a couple of mailbags related to this. Do you want to jump into those now?
And we're going to jump into those mailbags, and
Yeah.
be sure to check out Flame Central. And we're changing the name of the Flame Central show this week. It's actually going to be called Taelon Peters Central.
Basically.
So we're going to have Paul Naz again. Naz is joining the show to kind of break down and
Naz
talk.
goes into kind of like, like a bear hibernates in the winter. Naz is in this time of the year. You don't hear from him. He's just hunkered down in the cave. And then usually come basketball season, he emerges. Well, we're pulling him out
for this. We're pulling him out. And then we'll have the feature. If you did not see the feature on Taelon Peter, and like so many good quotes from Richie McKay in that feature that I love, but just about his time and decision to come here to Liberty. And then we'll also talk with Richie McKay. And then we're trying to chase down some more interviews with Taelon, with some
let's call it some
Pacers personnel.
Yes, some people that were heavily involved in the draft process that it sounds like we're going to get on the show in the not too distant future.
Yes. Okay, but let's jump into the mailbag, because our fans and our listeners are the most important interviews and people that we
That's right. We do this for you.
We do this for you. You can be a part of the show, flamecentral@liberty.edu.
Yes, send us your questions. Okay, first question comes from Landon. Landon says, how surprised on a scale of 1 to 10 were we that Taelon Peter got drafted? He says not because he lacks the talent, but just because there wasn't a lot of hype leading into this. I'll say an 8.
I would say 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you just don't you just see the G League invite. It's just so much easier to just do a G League invite.
Right.
Instead of and you mentioned it, the Pacers only had 2 picks, and they were both in the second round. Yeah. So it just I will say I didn't know much about the draft and like the pool this year. But it was very, very surprising to me, just because there was no hype. But I hate the media. Like, the media hypes up all these like players, and then puts so much pressure on them, and then they go on to have careers.
I was surprised, and he worked out for 7 teams, but like that's still just like not even a quarter of the league,
right?
So like it's not like if he had worked out for 25, you might be like, oh, okay, now that. But so yes, this was for me. This was a surprise. All right.
I'm not. Landon, your question isn't boring me. I'm just the pregnant yawns.
All right. So Tim also messaged us, same topic, talking about Taelon Peter. He said, "How did the Peter draft by the Pacers seem to come out of nowhere?" That's kind of what we were saying. He was a great bench player for the Flames, but he didn't have the same legendary run as other Flames. There were times last season when our bench struggled. Are the Pacers looking at other qualities not emphasized by our staff? It's confusing. So I'll say this, like, don't get lost in the stuff about him coming off the bench. Like, don't worry about that at all. First off,
because when you look at the time that he played,
the production.
Well, and like he was in the game, even though he came off the bench.
I think in conference play he averaged the 4th most minutes per game.
Yeah.
But he was right in there. And Richie doesn't get hung up on the starting whatever thing. But like remember too, so yes, it's quality over quantity. What he produced, he was the team's leading scorer coming off the bench. Averaged almost 14 a game on the season, over 16 a game in conference play. The other thing I'll say is, like, remember the story. At one point during the season, Richie McKay went to him and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about putting you in the starting lineup." And he said no. He said, "I don't want to mess up this good thing we have going. I don't want to mess up the chemistry. I don't want to shake things up with the personalities on this team. Like, we're winning. We're playing great. I'm perfectly fine being in this role." So the selfless thing that you were talking about, like, that's an example of it with Taelon Peter. Yes, you could have put him in the starting lineup. You could have found a way to do that. But being a winner, he's like, why do we want to mess this up? I'm scoring like a maniac. We're winning. Let's keep the roles the way they are, and obviously it paid dividends. You won a conference championship.
Not only is that difficult to find in this day and age in an athlete, but that's difficult to find in a basketball player.
Right.
Usually basketball players, big on ego and like wanting to start, it's a big deal. That doesn't matter to Taelon Peter.
Yeah.
I also think that there are some Pacers, personnel that are very close to this organization. Yeah. So maybe they know a little bit more about Taelon than some of these other teams did. So
for sure,
maybe that had an edge or like made him buy in a little bit more on Taelon, more so than these other teams got to know him.
Yeah.
So that's a factor too of like of why he was drafted. I don't know.
And I would say, Tim asked, are the pro teams looking for qualities not emphasized by our coaching staff? Oh, and he also said the bench struggled. The bench was not Taelon Peter. Remember all the stats we gave throughout the year about like the bench struggle when they were struggling was the bench not named Taelon Peter.
Right.
So he was not he had no role in that. But I don't think the pros are emphasizing things our staff doesn't emphasize, like 3-point shooting, spacing, all these things that you see the way Liberty plays, like those are emphasized at the next level. And how many times have we heard it from Kyle Rode when he went and joined the Spurs. We heard it from Darius McGee when he was with the Pacers. Like, that they get to these pro organizations and they say, oh, they're doing what we did.
I think it depends on the franchise.
That's true.
I think it depends on the franchise, and I think it depends on the coaching staff and who the head coach is, and I think it depends on the personnel on that team. I think that there are some teams in the NBA where it's very clear that it's more, one or two guys, and then there's teams like the Spurs, like the Celtics, that are more team basketball, and they find more success that style.
Yes.
I think it depends franchise to franchise. You have some franchises out there that it doesn't really seem like they care about having team first guys and selfless guys.
But all that to say, like, the Liberty guys that have gotten those pro opportunities with an NBA franchise have all said, I was so prepared for what they threw at me.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think there's this huge gap like, oh, the Liberty staff isn't getting them ready or isn't emphasizing the right things. They are.
Yeah.
They are. These guys are more than prepared when they get to those spots. And if they don't succeed, it's not because this staff was focused on something that doesn't factor in at the next level. That's not.
I totally agree with that. We have some great stuff. We'll continue talking about Taelon Peter and this incredible opportunity. Hopefully we'll hear from him, but I feel like he might be a little busy, right now.
Might be a little busy.
But if I see him on what's his name's podcast,
Who? Which podcast?
oh my gosh, why do I Pat McAfee?
Oh yeah.
Because
if he does McAfee before us.
Well, and especially if it's in person, because
Yeah.
he's there in Indianapolis, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. So don't even think about it. You better
Taelon, we were with you.
Choose the Flame Central podcast first. We'll have to bring back that interview and listen to that. It's been a while. All right. So we still have some more to discuss, but we should get to this conversation with Flames Club and Mike Hagen and some of the new developments in that area. Another first-time guest on the Flame Central podcast, powered by Alcova Mortgage. Mike Hagen, your life is about to change. That's just a short intro for you there.
Glad to be here. Yeah.
Your life's about to change, and Mike follows it up with it. Yeah, really glad to be here.
We are
so excited. He's a
excited.
senior associate AD for external engagement and development, a.k.a. the leader of the Flames
Do
Club.
it all guy.
That
We got a
do
great
it all.
team.
That do it all. Some breaking news was announced last week with the Flames Club and NIL. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah. So with the adjustments to the House settlement for the first time, we are going to be involved in fundraising for name, image, and likeness. And for the last couple of years, we've had some collectives, some loyal fans that have really done a great job carrying that water for us, and things that were once prohibited by the NCAA. Now we're taking the lead, and we're happy to connect our fans with those opportunities.
What kind of challenge has that been for your department, and who's helping mentor and guide you along the way? Because this is new for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, really new just across college athletics. And, I got my start in college athletics in compliance. And I think of all the things that we guarded and we made sure
Yeah,
didn't
we've gotten
happen.
a lot of emails from you, I feel like, for features and stuff.
And now those things are all encouraged and permissible
Right.
and really a benefit for our student athletes. The things that I would focus on is that at Liberty, Dr. Falwell's dream was always to compete at the highest level of college athletics. And that looks different today than it did a year ago or 10 years ago. But we're going to keep focusing on competing at the highest level, and then also do that while training champions for Christ. And so it might look a little bit different at Liberty than it might at Virginia Tech or UVA or anywhere else, but those are still the goals that we want to achieve.
What's the question you maybe gotten most from fans throughout this process, trying to understand, like, hey, I want to support Liberty Athletics. How's the best way to do it? Like, what's the way to go about doing it? Like, what are the questions you normally get?
Yeah, the answer to all the above is call the Flames Club.
That's right.
So
it's easy.
Yeah, it's been questions of, are we really going to pay players? And I think we shouldn't look at it from are we going to pay players? It's are we going to assist them with their name, image, and likeness and present them with revenue opportunities? And so we can now be involved in that. And fans can make a donation direct to a specific sport, not to a player, right? That's still not allowed. But they can say, hey, I really want to make
That's
sure.
not allowed by like the NCAA.
Yeah, not to a specific
okay.
player.
Oh, okay.
But if they say,
I didn't know
hey,
that.
we want to help with name, image, and likeness across all sports, or they could say, I really want to help men's basketball
Okay.
or softball. And we can process that. That is tax deductible because it's not for our annual fund. So it's not tied to seating and parking. So there are some real opportunities for families, alumni, businesses to get involved and help those teams succeed.
So how does it work within the Flames Club for people who are members of the Flames Club that, hey, you have your Flames Club where you get the perks and everything that comes along with being a part of that, and then you have name, image, and likeness for the collective. Now, can you still give separately to both of those?
Correct.
Or can you say, okay, I'm going to give X amount of dollars and you guys just divvy it up how you want to divvy it up?
Yeah, it can really happen both ways, Joe. So we have our annual fund, which is you contribute, and by level that determines where your seating and parking benefits are. And that does not directly impact name, image, and likeness. But every sport for the long time has had a sport excellence fund. And so fans, alumni of that program, parents, grandparents can say, hey, I really want to help. I'll use men's basketball as the example and make a contribution. And then that was always under the direction of where does Coach McKay need it most? So sometimes it's additional recruiting funds, sometimes it's travel. And now one of those options for him is to help with internal revenue and name, image, and likeness. And so every fan can contribute in that way. Now that doesn't directly impact your annual fund standing, so it won't improve your seating and parking in that year. But across any gift, you do earn loyalty points. And so the more you contribute, the better your seating and parking can be in future years. Yeah. And so for a lot of folks, because it's not tied to seating and parking, it's 100% tax deductible. I'm not a tax accountant. That's just what they say. But for a lot of folks, that's a really good benefit, especially businesses who go like, I want to figure out a way that can both promote my business and help student athletes. It's a great opportunity.
So, kind of like businesses like Alcova Mortgage. Right. I don't want this to be premature, but is this when you want to make the announcement?
And Joe, you have the giant check actually in the
where's the giant check?
Joe's, you've done some stuff in the name, image, and likeness space in the past, and now we can directly help those things. And so it was awkward in the past that we really had to keep an arm's length. And so donors would call and say, hey, I really want to help this student athlete. Say, we can't do anything, but here's someone you can call. And we even heard from folks that just said, we're not comfortable writing a check if it's not to Liberty University. And so now we can handle those things. We're good stewards. I believe we've proved that. And for folks to say, I've always contributed to Liberty. Maybe I've helped a school of business. Maybe I've helped with scholarships. And this is just another avenue to help students.
And I think, too, which will really help Flames Club members out, because I know from your point of view as running the Flames Club that you have these donors, and then now all of a sudden NIL shows up. Yeah. And so when it's separate, you had this different people hitting up the same donors for more, and then it's like, well, you got this conflict going on there. So to bring it under one umbrella really helps out the individual donors, but also the businesses. So I think that's an important aspect of it too, isn't it?
For sure. And I think from a donor solicitation side, like what does that look like when I'm going to ask, but then someone else is going to make an ask, and then someone else is going to make an ask, and that's not comfortable for us. It's not comfortable for the donor. And now we can talk about what's that whole picture look like of how do they want to give. Even folks who want to talk about planned giving opportunities, whether it's a will or an annuity or a naming opportunity, all those things can contribute to help our student athletes succeed.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. The Flames Club has grown so much since you returned in 2017 it was?
Yep.
Time flies. But how, in terms of like numbers and members, it has grown so much. But what are some other ways that it's grown in your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really exciting time. I came back in 2017, graduated from Liberty in 2005, was here for several years in compliance. And right around the time that we were going FBS, and it's like, maybe we'll make a bowl game, and then we go to 6 consecutive, and so it's
including the Fiesta Bowl.
The Fiesta Bowl, and so you think of those things. of just to see fans really, I'd say, come out of the woodwork, and alumni, and just embrace what we are trying to achieve has been fun. Our staff has grown. I have a phenomenal staff of people who just really care about our athletics and building a relationship with our donors. And so, yeah, we're at 5,443 members for this year. We hope to grow that again next year. And so if you're not a
I
member,
forgot to renew. I'm going to get in.
Yeah,
So
we'll
you
get,
bump
we'll
that
get
up
Matt
by
in there.
one.
That's right, by one. Okay.
I just got them texts. I just haven't done it yet.
Before the 30th.
You'll have
before
one
the
more.
30th.
You'll have one more.
But it's been great. I mean, we've done a lot at away game stuff and more events. We started our annual spring gala, which this year raised over $200,000.
I saw that's
It was an
amazing.
auction. There were some really fun things that people bid on. And
you get to see people dressed up. You're like, wow, I didn't know you looked like
Yeah, well,
that.
Jamie Chadwell, not
I
in
know.
flip-flops. Yeah.
He's got shoes on.
Yeah, right.
It's good.
Wow.
It's good.
That's awesome. And some other events that you guys are doing this year is you are taking the Flames Club on
Yeah.
the road. We're doing a little tailgating, some road sites.
Yeah, so at football, we'll be at at 5 of the away games, not UTEP. It's a long ways to go for a midweek game. But our other 5 away games will have a good tailgate leading up to the game. And so typically we have a couple hundred fans come out there. So encourage any of our fans in those areas to come on out, watch the game. And then we are planning to do something at Disney. Men's basketball has been announced. They're in the tournament the week of Thanksgiving. So we'd like to do something down there. It's a great time to head down to Orlando.
Oh, yeah, perfect weather.
Perfect
in
weather.
Orlando.
But yeah, and a great chance to see men's basketball against some good teams.
That's awesome. Matt, you got anything else?
I guess just last, like when you look around the landscape of college athletics right now, like what an opportunity for our fan base to invest. And is that kind of the biggest message you feel like you're trying to get across? Like, we love the success that we've experienced. It's a different era of college athletics
It
now.
is.
If we want to continue being at the level we've been and go even further, like this is a chance for fans to really get involved in the process.
Yeah, and I do think investment is the right term. I mean, if you look around, and here we are in the football stadium, and you look at what the university has invested in our student athletes, our facilities to compete at the highest level. But I often draw the comparison of, Virginia Tech, not far down the road. And a couple of years ago, they had a campaign to reach 25,000 members. And, they've got 100 years head start on Liberty. But we believe we are peers, and we want to beat them, and we have beat them. And if we want to maintain success, then 5,000 members sounds great, but we need to grow that. And so if you're an alum, if you're a supporter, if you're a fan, we need you to get on board. And I think everyone should take that seriously about a chance to invest into our student athletes and our coaches, because we want to continue with the success we've had.
One more question. Just from I know there's probably some business owners out there that listen to the podcast and they may be interested in giving towards NIL. When you say that you can only give to a specific sport, so let's say football, softball, whatever it may be, can that business owner do where they can say, hey, I would like to have, speaking of years past, a Quentin Cooley or a Brylan Green, like I would like them to help promote my business specifically. You can give, but you can yet still use those players in order to do NIL with them specifically, correct?
Great question, Joe. And so when we talk about a gift, that has to be to a sport. Now, if they want to do a promotional arrangement, and so true NIL, right? Of I want them to appear in a commercial. I want them to be in some promotional materials.
Use a flamethrower.
Use a flamethrower. Yeah.
Random
Got to
example.
sign a release for all
So
that. permission
those things
slip.
can still be student athlete specific, and we can now be more involved in that. Where again, in the past, we had to be a little bit hands off. We could connect people, but now Liberty Athletics directly can say, yeah, we can arrange those, and we can have those meetings and those introductions. And it's really good because we want to assist our student athletes in this process. One of the things we really helped is financial literacy. And so we want to make sure that as our student athletes have some more NIL funds, they're going to use it wisely. But being a part of that process, and so we can answer questions and not have to be kind of hold them and the donor or the business at arm's length. Now we can embrace it and have those conversations.
Yeah, and to all the business owners out there, you look at the excellence of Liberty Sports and what they've brought.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, what an opportunity to use the different sports that are out there. You look at softball and the run that Dot had, and some Rachel Roop, and like the whole all these different athletes that are available, especially within our local community, to really promote their business in a positive way. So it's just exciting news especially for business owners, to have that under one umbrella and feel as if everybody's working together for the common good of Liberty and for the athletes.
Yeah, and our student athletes are by far our best ambassadors. I mean, they just represent us so well, and the social media outreach. I was at a conference in Philadelphia over the weekend, and on the train and in the hotel and at the meeting, people come up. I'm an online student. I just got my master's through Liberty. My nephew goes there, and so I really do think we are becoming much more of a national brand. And I think and it's a great opportunity for businesses.
I mean, yeah, businesses like Alcova Mortgage, like I
100%.
mentioned. Alcova Mortgage wouldn't be anywhere without Liberty University and the
that
Flames
flamethrower.
Club. No,
I mean,
that flamethrower really took
Liberty
it.
University has
I'm
been
kidding.
extremely
Yeah.
beneficial
Yeah.
to Alcova, and with our 1% discount towards your closing costs up to $5,000, that's real money back in your pocket. We've been able to help a lot of folks within the university here on the athletic side, from the staff side, employment side, all across the board. So go to alcova.com/Liberty and you can receive that discount, real money back in your
right.
pocket. Just hey,
And then you turn
man
around
with
and
people.
donate that to the Flames
then you
Club.
turn around.
That
Hey,
1%.
It's
the
a
1%.
perfect
You know
plan.
what?
Hey,
we could put
the
that
circle of
directly on
life,
the closing
baby.
That's
discussion.
right.
Just, do you really want that 1%,
Yeah.
or we'll just put it right
It's
back
just
in the
that
Flames
easy.
Club? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
The
almost
Too easy.
Too easy. No, I know I give Joe a hard time, but I know Liberty and this podcast is very grateful for Alcova Mortgage. Okay, just a moment. We're going to talk about the Hall of Fame class.
Yeah.
Your wife inducted this year. I know
Yes.
you ran, and I'm sorry I didn't look up your times.
no.
I'm not sure what they were. Your
I don't think
your
they're
event.
they're not in the
But
record
so,
book. Yeah.
so you're not
Hall of Fame material.
This, how is this in the Hagen household?
I mean,
is there some trash talk, or is there no chance you're making the Hall of Fame?
No,
Maybe you'll make the Hall of Fame for Flames Club.
The only
That's
way
right.
Hagen was getting in was by marrying one. So,
Good call.
I had a little advance notice with my work, and so I was very excited to hear. I mean, Aaron, a phenomenal student athlete. We got married years after our time here, but I worked many games, and we were very good friends in college. And I mean, she could just jump out of the gym and just a phenomenal athlete, still insanely competitive. As her husband, I can say still very, very competitive person. But yeah, I'm just super excited, and it's been great that when that announcement was made, her old teammates that have reached out said they're coming back for the induction ceremony
that's
at
awesome.
homecoming, and then her family that'll be here, and so. It's been fun to always see that every year. It's a fantastic event. Marshall does a great job, but to be actually, personally involved in this one, it will be exciting.
Did you get to break the news to her? Is that how
Yeah,
that
I
went
did.
down?
I will say I did not break it to her very well. I tried to go be like, oh hey, your dad needs to call you because when he's going to come out into town, and she took it as there was something wrong. She's like, I'll call him right now, and I'm like, no.
No,
So
hold on. It didn't
Yeah.
work.
Husband fail on that one.
Oh, gosh.
But
Oh,
very
gosh.
very proud of her.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Mike, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you,
Excited
guys.
Thank
for
you,
this.
Mike.
Yeah.
Tell our listeners and viewers where they can find more information on Flames Club.
Yeah, so libertyflamesclub.org. All the social media. But if you are interested in supporting our student athletes or have questions about how you can do so, tickets, parking, outright tax-deductible gifts, give us a call.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your
Thank you,
time.
guys.
Looking forward to this next season.
Thank you.
Mike, you're doing a great job.
Doing a great job.
At the Flames Club.
Yeah.
Don't worry about getting in the Hall of Fame. Just let your wife take all the glory
Yes,
there.
yes, that's a
and
good
just
husband.
Be a supportive
Yeah,
husband.
right. Yes, absolutely.
You're tracked. Maybe he can help train Joe.
Joe? Yeah,
in the
sure.
mile.
We're looking for
You know,
somebody.
we're looking
Joe
for
hasn't really clicked with any of the people that we've suggested.
I
so
think
far.
that's on purpose.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's totally on purpose, but exciting stuff. And, Joe brought up a lot of good points about, because he does run a business
Yeah.
and donate and contribute to the Flames Club and the NIL whole situation. So that is nice that it's just all one big
Right.
home now.
Here's what I'll say, because, and you've probably had these conversations as well. You go around town, you're talking to people, and you get a lot of, I just don't like the state of college athletics right
Yeah.
now. I don't like what it's become. I get that. It's
We kind of feel that way. at a
right. I
certain
get that.
level,
It's
too.
changed so much. It seems to change every day. I get that. You don't see a guy stay here for 4 years. You know what I mean? Those things that were
Don't
so
even get my emotions
that were so
involved
cool
people
about
leaving.
seeing a guy come and slowly progress and learn and grow. You don't see as much of that. Here's what I'll say though. If you're thinking about helping support Liberty Athletics, think about the people that are leading Liberty Athletics, right? Like, if I'm giving money to help a team and I know, well, that's Richie McKay, who I'm essentially handing this to, I trust Richie McKay to find people that are great culture fits, are great, Liberty fits, are people who he's going to bring in and their lives are going to change while they're here, and they're going to leave better people, better men than when they got here. Like, they're going to do things the right way. Like, so I know people get hung up on, I don't want to pay a play or whatever. Like, I think of it in terms of you're helping these coaches that you know and trust are doing the right things and making an impact on these young people, and you're allowing them the opportunity to invest this in the people that they believe are the right people for this program and this university. So, like, that's, for me, it's like, don't get hung up in a lot of the nightmare stories you hear around the country. Know that the people that are leading these programs are trustworthy and are going to do the right thing. And that's the way I look at it in terms of all the NIL stuff.
That's a really good point. And Mike reminded us today, June 30th, is the last day for, is it season tickets?
Maybe.
Oh my gosh.
Just go to flamesclub.org.
LibertyFlamesClub.org. Man, he's going to kill me.
I know.
You did such a great
job,
job,
Mike. We taped it early, so obviously it's been a few days.
And I meant to look that up.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I didn't even know we were going to have a podcast the week of 4th of July. We will talk a little bit about 4th of July in just a moment. But as you know, the 2025 Hall of Fame class was just released recently. Some really big time names, and we caught up with Marshall Roberts to learn more about each of those athletes. I mean, for this episode of the Flame Central podcast, powered by Alcova Mortgage, the guests just keep getting better and better.
Wait. So wait, you're telling Marshall that
Mike
Mike leaves and Marshall's better than Mike?
Gosh,
She was
they
like,
always take everything out of context.
Is he gone?
Is he gone? Has the door
They
closed?
just keep getting better and better.
That's my boss. Give me in trouble.
You guys take everything. I didn't mean it like that. Mike, you're great. Marshall Roberts is now here. He's the Assistant AD Director of Letter Winners Engagement. We have so much to talk about, but for those who don't know you, Marshall, explain your role here on the mountain.
Yeah, I'm an assistant AD, and I run the Letter Winners Association, and then I also run, or I'm the chair of the Hall of Fame. So those are the roles that I have currently.
All right, well, we have a big class coming for 2025. The inductees, 7 members will be inducted in the fall. Tell us a little bit about this class. Do we want to go person by person?
You just want me to run down real fast?
Yeah.
Let me just run through the list real fast. So
Yeah.
you got Mike Brown, football, obviously. Alicia Finnegan-Carty, swimming and diving. Aaron Hagen, who we just talked about. Clendon Henderson, stud thrower on the track team. Stacy Radulovich-Neal, softball. Jesse Sanders, all-time assist leader for basketball. And, of course,
drum roll.
Brant Tolsma, what did we say, 70-some Coach of the Year awards?
I think it was 77, which is
unbelievable.
Like
so
over...
really, really strong class this year.
It really stands to be the largest banquet we've ever done.
Really?
I'm really anticipating overflowing numbers. So that should tell you the significance of the class.
What, who is in charge of choosing who gets inducted of the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
And I asked Marshall if this was a stupid question before, so I'm glad that we're getting to cover this because I have no idea how it all works.
First of all, Kevin Keys laid out the foundation in 2009, and he took a lot of what he did at West Virginia. And I was able to take over from Tim East. And what they have done is they've laid out a month-to-month foundation, and I just really refine it and just try to improve on it and try to see how I can make it better each year. So it's a pretty simple process. You follow it month by month.
So when you get in the room, it's like, I mean, you're starting with like 30 athletes, 50 athletes. Like how does that work where you're going, all right, this is the pool we're kind of working through. And then are you just throwing up stats on a board? Like what are the mechanics of this?
It's a 10-person committee, and all of us have our role at bringing people to the table. But the athletic department, Todd Wetmore, the Carmody brothers, Rhino, they do
they're bringing
unbelievable
some serious stats.
Yeah.
So what they do is we literally have a bio on every person that's presented. And we go through a process where they're either above the line or below the line. If they're above the line, then they will have final consideration in our final vote day.
Yeah. Okay.
So Joe Yock, as a former coach of the Liberty Flames, he hasn't been
You
brought
are
up.
below the
2
line
years.
at this
Yeah,
point.
that's gonna go. Here's the line.
Just below
Joe
Oh,
Young's
it's like-
2-year
the
coaching
line.
career is down here.
Yeah.
The Carmody brothers bring like, yeah, we don't have any stats
Yeah, I
for
can't-
Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't do bios
Scouring
back
the
then.
internet.
Yeah.
Joe, you got
Yeah,
anything?
I got a question, Coach. This is I'm putting you on the spot right now.
Mhm.
Oh boy.
Okay, so you got the Liberty Hall of Fame. Within the Hall of Fame, if you got to pick, give me 2 to 3, who are the GOATs of the Liberty Hall of Fame?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question.
Emily doesn't ask. It's a touchy subject.
They always. I never get no guest has ever
Yeah,
told me I've had a good
great
question.
Yeah, yeah.
I know, I'm starting to
Hey, Emily,
reconsider my career
Emily,
path.
I've gotten 2 so far.
I think
Go
the,
ahead, I'm sorry. Go
Who's
ahead.
counting?
too, Emily.
Oh, maybe you'll be in the Hall of Fame for question asking.
Yeah.
I think the number one GOAT, if you're talking about Liberty Athletics Hall of Fame, just simply Dr. Falwell.
Yeah.
He's the guy. He's the dude. He's the one that
He's the
started it.
visionary GOAT.
He's the guy. Then you got to go to like Sid Bream.
Sid Bream.
Yeah.
He's one of the all-times.
Yeah.
Hey, when Sid Bream was chucking around third base
Yes.
in the
NLCS.
in the NLCS, right? I was living in Hamilton, Ontario, playing the CFL, and I was in my apartment watching the game and was cheering for the Braves. And when he was coming around the corner, as he rounded third, I was thinking to myself, I wanted them to win so bad. I was standing in front of the TV screaming, right? And while I'm screaming, in my mind, I'm thinking, this guy's not very fast. I'm like, this is good. This might be a problem, right? If it was Deion
Yeah.
Sanders running
Yeah,
for him
right.
back then, he would have walked through no problem.
Yeah.
But Sid, he got it done,
He
and
got
that's
it
all
done.
that matters. So
Yeah.
Sid Bream, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah,
That story hit my mind.
A good friend of mine, Eric Green.
Oh,
He will
yeah,
have-
yeah. Pittsburgh Steelers,
Yeah.
first
Be-
round draft choice.
Yeah.
There is no doubt. And I'm going to be a little personal, but a kid that I watched play here, who I think a lot of, Mike Brown was just a special,
Well, he was.
special
He was.
individual.
And still is. I mean, look what he's doing now. Yeah,
It
incredible.
really was amazing. You know, one day I walked into an office and he had the entire offense in there, and I was standing to the back. You have NCAA rules. I couldn't be in there. And he had a player-led meeting, and I listened to him go through all his reads and talk to the entire offense about it. And then we had an offensive lineman named Jay Weatherington, and he said, "Okay, Jay, talk about your reads." And then they went to the wide receivers. What am I looking for, et cetera, et cetera. Then they went to the tight end, and I walked out of that room. He was an undergrad. He was a player, but it was like he was a coach in that room.
Unbelievable. Yeah. And unbelievable player.
Tell me about this, because you have now, I mean, Liberty being as old as it is now, a lot of history that you have to kind of take into consideration for the Hall of Fame. So
Sure.
there may be guys that played way back in the early days that you may not have footage on. Maybe stats were even hard to come by.
Yeah.
How do you go about trying to make sure those guys that really laid the foundation for everything
Right.
don't get left behind in this process when so much of it you think, the old recency bias plays in? Well, I just saw this guy play 6 or
Right.
7 years ago. How do you make sure you keep those guys that are so important to what we have now involved in this process?
Yeah, it's definitely a conscious, on purpose thought process where a lot of the other committee members who have lived through those eras always make sure. Professor Gomes is not going to let you forget about individuals in the mid 70s and 80s,
Or his jump shot.
but it is a very purposeful, and it means a lot to me that we make sure we don't forget people.
Yeah.
And if you cannot compare somebody from 79 with a current football player in some ways, but you can relate their significance at that time compared to what the significance of another player is at this time. So we have some great spirited debates in there.
Yeah, and my question going off of that, I know you talk a lot about football, you coach football, you know the game really well, but how difficult is it for you and some of the other committee members who, for example, don't really know swimming numbers and like, is this a big deal? Like Joe thinks he can run a 6-minute mile. Like
Here we go.
and he thinks like, oh yeah, well, I can tell you a time that somebody just ran the 3K in and you not really realize how fast and good that is. So how difficult is it, or how do you kind of manage is this Hall of Fame worthy with those
Sure.
numbers?
I think it's all about communication. I am not scared to reach out to coaches.
Okay.
I am not scared to reach out to former teammates. I'm not scared to compare times. So what I do is I literally reach out to people and we have dialogue. And a lot of times now they're going to know I do it under the umbrella of maybe a different conversation, but I'm definitely seeking information.
Interesting.
You're like, I was just thinking about 200 butterfly the other day. Is this good? Is that what you do? Just kind of like, I was just thinking about.
I think he's a little more sly than that.
Well,
I was in the pool doing the backstroke the other day, and I thought to myself,
Here was my
I wonder
time.
what a
Is that-
good
how does that
backstroke
stack
time
up?
I actually work with a former swimmer.
There you go.
You
So
know,
I'm always asking her questions.
yeah.
Now, do you guys have different categories? You have athletes, right? And then do you have, obviously, Coach Tolsma coaching, right? Do you have Dr. Falwell was a visionary of the university. Is there a certain group, like numbers that you can have for different aspects of how you're involved in Liberty Athletics?
We do.
Podcast host.
Yeah, that's
we
fair.
we
Yeah,
do
right.
have an
Working on that.
administrator.
Three-time Emmy-winning
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
We do have an administrator type category, but the rest are specific in whatever sport that is
Athletics
here.
itself.
Yes.
Yeah, participation in
Yes.
athletics. Yeah. Well,
I
very
just
good.
came up with a great idea. Okay, I might need our graphics guy Austin to help with this, but maybe we can put together. I don't know if
I've
I'm
never heard this before.
I'm going to be
I
very
just came up with a
pregnant, so
great
I don't know if
idea.
I want to participate in this, but they can. The guys can. We get if they're back in town, the Hall of Fame member swimming that 200 and Matt Warner see how fast he can, and we do a feature on just how good. I mean, obviously they're not going to hit the same time, or if the athlete isn't here or doesn't want to participate, we have just like a little red dot that shows.
I want to see Clinton Henderson throw a discus right now. Like, here's what you did.
Yeah.
Now what
Throw
can you
it
do?
now.
Right. It's like you versus you is what I want. No. Here's
Do
my,
you know? Wouldn't that be cool to see just like
a lot
how
of
great they
pulled
are and how
hamstrings
unathletic we
and,
are?
Like, yeah, really just
Okay.
everyone's injured, limping into the banquet.
Speaking of Clendon, he was third in the country.
I know. Yeah.
Third.
Stud.
And when you look at a kid like that, all I'm thinking is football. Oh, I would have loved to had him
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
because he was an explosive beast
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right.
in 2 years.
Here's my idea. This one
Oh,
may be a
gosh.
little bit more realistic. So I saw this year when you announced to people, you got other folks involved. Like Richie McKay ended up, FaceTiming with Jesse Sanders and all, and that was fine. Richie did fine. But here's
okay.
here's what
He's not great on
here's what
camera.
I want to do. You've seen like the NFL Hall of Fame.
Yep.
They have the guy, right? That giant guy in the blue suit that goes around and knocks on their doors.
Yeah.
I don't know what your schedule's like, Marshall. I think this is an opportunity for you to be that guy for Liberty Athletics. We just send you wherever.
Hit the road.
We hit the road with you.
Okay.
Right? And you're going to wherever these people are, knocking on their door, and then everyone knows if they open the door and Marshall Roberts is standing there, I'm about to go.
And
to the
Joe
Hall of Fame.
Yock's behind
You're
him with
you're
a big Alcova.
You're the
Yeah,
face
no
of the
big
Hall of
check
Fame.
sign.
Like, can
Yeah.
Follow
we
Square.
swing that moving forward where you are that guy and you get to go around and do that? Make
No
the announcement.
pressure. You can take time to think about
It's
it.
all about time. Do I have the time?
Right, you'll clear it with the
Let-
wife
let's
first.
do it. We'll-
but yeah,
we'll figure it
I think
out.
we could work this out.
We did
Yeah.
it with Mike Brown. I mean,
Yeah.
he had no idea what was going on, and then I peeked my head into the picture, and
nice.
him and Diamond realized it. His wife played basketball here,
Oh, wow. I didn't
and
know
it
that.
was a great atmosphere. I've known Mike and the family for quite a bit of time, but
When's the banquet? When is this all going down?
it's on Halloween, October
Oh, wow.
31st. Starts
So,
at
costumes encouraged? Or?
6:15. Sure.
If your costume is
Sure.
business casual,
Yeah.
I'm messing
and
up.
anybody can come. I know people think, oh, maybe
Anybody
it's just
can come.
friends, family of the people going in, but
Yep.
anybody can get
Oh,
involved.
good to know.
Yep.
And where's it being held
Flamesclub.org. It'll always be in DeMoss until that building is finished over there.
Okay.
So it's in the alumni ballroom at DeMoss. Starts at 6:15.
Awesome.
We'll open doors at 5:30.
Awesome. And where can you get more information on that?
Flamesclub.org.
Okay.
Just call
all
on
there.
in. You
It's
want
all
to
there.
nominate
It's all there.
somebody?
One-stop shop.
Flamesclub.org.
Yes, yeah, mention that as well.
Talk to me.
People
Oh.
fans can nominate folks, so
Oh,
they
really?
can reach out to you
Yep.
and they can nominate athletes or coaches that they feel are deserving. Start
Absolutely.
that process. with
Or
them.
administrators that have been here and they'll be under consideration.
Right. Just remember AUSTEN when you're putting in that
Right,
nomination.
Yes.
I'm
No,
There's a
don't,
possibility.
don't do
Don't-
this, Marshall. You don't have to
don't.
do this.
Please don't.
Yeah, you don't have to do this.
Marshall Roberts, thanks so much for your time. Excited to see what that ceremony's like and get those 7 members inducted to this year's class.
Thanks for having me.
Such a great conversation
Yeah.
with Marshall. You know, one person that I have no doubt is going to be in the Liberty Flames Hall of Fame one day.
Who's that?
That's Rachel Roop.
Oh, yes. Good.
I mean, you
Yes.
got to wait 4 years,
Yeah.
right? It's 4 years?
4 or 5, maybe.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But she was just the
She's no doubter.
yeah,
like,
she's a
first
no
ballot.
doubter. First ballot.
Yeah.
Michael L. Sly, Female Athlete of the Year. So congratulations
Yeah.
to Rachel Roop. But some interesting stories. Of course, Joe has to add his story time. Those are
course,
always
of
fun to hear. But yeah, it's so interesting learning about the process. And I know I'm really a decisive person. I don't put my emotions in my
Right.
decisions.
None.
So if they're
completely
looking
logical.
to add a committee member,
Yes.
I am available. I will check my. I
No,
would be
yeah,
so.
no.
I would be so bad at that, and I really do feel like I talk a lot about things I'd be really bad at, like coaching, general manager,
Yeah.
like Flames or
You know
Hall
what?
of Fame.
You're right where you're supposed to be, Em. You're right where you're supposed to be.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said
I think
to me, Matt.
it would be an interesting, like, I'd love to sit in the room to see how
I
those
know.
conversations happen.
That would be.
Um,
He said they get like a little heated.
Yeah.
Not heated, but
right.
you know, like
yeah, punches thrown, and yeah, is what I heard. I don't know if that's true. It's a rumor. But it is interesting, and I liked, and Marshall talked to us some off camera about how involved he gets. You're not just looking at the numbers, which are very important,
mhm.
but also trying to determine over different eras, like how, like
That's
he
so
mentioned
hard.
there was someone that went in from the early days, offensive line, and he said, he went and like met with a lot of these old, the original players, the early days, to be like, tell me who was the best, because there are positions where it's like you don't have touchdowns, like you don't have stats like that.
Right.
So he's like, tell me, I need to know. And so he had to dig in and really learn about that era and learn from those guys so that you could determine who is worthy. So like he really does his background research and really tries to get involved with the former athletes from the Flames to determine like who is the most worthy of this huge honor.
And that's awesome that you're like not just like looking at a stat sheet, you're building relationships, you're having those
Right.
conversations with the team members. I do wonder, and I've meant to ask him this, if they take into consideration the pie eating contest.
That's
For like, because like if an offensive lineman
yeah, right.
had multiple pie eating contest championships,
I think
that could push you over
that
the
puts
edge.
them above the line, as he was saying. Yeah, I think
Above
that
the
should
line.
factor in.
No, that's fun. But really cool. Excited to, that ceremony coming this fall. So that'll be exciting and just interesting to learn more about that. So thanks for stopping by, Marshall. And we have a Flame Central update. So a couple changes with the show.
Yeah.
Starting this week, right?
Starting this week. So
Starting this week.
This is the first week we will no longer be on over-the-air TV.
Yeah.
So if you've watched in the Lynchburg area on, I think it was WSET or WD, I don't
Matt
yeah,
wasn't.
I don't,
Matt was an affiliate watcher.
I wasn't watching over there. So that's why we made the switch. We're going strictly online streaming. We'll still be on ESPN Plus. Still be on YouTube, which is probably the best way.
Yeah, you can
easiest way.
probably just subscribing to YouTube.
Subscribe.
This is something that I learned from like our younger folk in the office because I just am not like very computer savvy
Yeah.
with that kind of stuff or social media savvy. But if you subscribe to YouTube, it's still free. Sometimes
Yes.
people hear the word subscribe and you're thinking pay something. But when you subscribe to YouTube, you get like an alert whenever there's new content.
Yeah.
So any of our individual feature stories or new Flame Central show comes out. But this way, the way we had to tape before, sometimes it was just like difficult to make it timely
Right.
and all that for our show. So this will be, you're going to be getting the best content at the most timely, like with updates and stuff like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
It'll be a lot better going this route.
It will
so.
be fun. You're gonna notice some changes as we go. It's gonna slowly change, but I think you're gonna like it. However, while YouTube may be free, I'm thinking about launching Flame Central Insider, where you pay us And then we'll send you an email with whatever's coming up on the show that week, and so you get a little bit of a head start. What do you think?
No.
No?
FlameCentral@liberty.edu. Just send your mailbag questions.
Like $10 a month?
No. Matt, they're already donating that to the Flames
That's
Club.
true.
Just
we can give them a cut of that. Yeah, we'll figure something out.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll figure out. We'll ask Gogger for some more, Flames Central Insider dollars. So I had a quick visit with my family this week at King's Dominion.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Matt.
Did you ride is it the Intimidator? Is that the one?
Oh, yeah. I'm going upside down. They won't let you ride that stuff when you're pregnant.
Oh, really?
No. But
you tell your story and then I'll tell mine.
I was getting nauseous on the merry-go-round or whatever carousel thing.
Oh, boy.
I'm like, no, thank you. But that place, holy smokes, the people watching
I bet it was
are
time.
just, I could just sit there all day and just eat my funnel cake and watch all these people. It's a very interesting crowd, but it was fun. It was fun.
I think, is it called the Dominator or something? What's it called? Their big roller coaster.
We don't go in that part. We're in Charlie Brown's area, Matt. I got a 5-year-old nephew and a 3-year-old niece, so they're not riding those crazy roller coasters.
The Dominator. I think that's what it is.
Didn't he pass out on that?
So yes, let me tell the story.
Oh my God.
So this was probably 6 or 7 years ago. We ended up taking a bunch of people from here, from work. So it was me, it was Rhett McGibbon.
That sounds like a disaster.
It was Doug. It was all these people from work. And so we go there for the afternoon, and the Dominator, whatever, their big roller coaster. Like we go right to it, we jump on it, and like as you go up the big start, you go down and whip into this corner. It's so cool. And like I started feeling like all warm and tingly. And like I started noticing like my vision like slowly starting to close, and I was like, "What's going on?" And like I kind of shook myself out of it. Well, I was starting to pass out. So apparently, the legend is when they built this roller coaster.
Oh, of course, Matt's gonna throw out some numbers
the first time that they like tested it with like a full car, like everybody just goes and knocked them all out. Like you pulled too many G's or whatever.
Right.
And so it just knocked out the whole thing. So we rode it 5 or 6 times, I don't know. The last time I'm sitting next to Rhett McGibbon, and I'm like, all right, Rhett, I'm not even gonna fight it this time. I'm just gonna embrace whatever's happening. And he looked over at me like halfway through, and I was just like completely gone, completely passed out, had a horrible headache after that. But it was really,
I wonder.
Yeah, it
so
was really
Matt
fun.
is never going to be the Maverick, like in the Air Force, where you have to like
I
go
need
in
to
the
train.
G's.
I would need to train a little bit.
Matt. I think if you can't take that
I'm
turn
willing
on
to
the
try.
Dominator,
I'm willing to try.
I think our military
But
is
it was
doing
a good
just
time.
fine without
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I love roller coasters, but I feel like I get dizzy on like swings now.
Yeah,
so,
it does change.
Like when you get older, I'm just like, gosh, this stinks.
I haven't done one in a few years. I'm interested to see.
Yeah, but I did love me some roller coasters growing up. We have some good news from former Liberty Flame Will Wagner, huh?
Got recalled to the Blue Jays, so he's been back up for a couple of games. I think got a hit in his first game up, coming off the bench. So good to see him back in the big leagues. He, Mason Fluharty, both still there with the Jays. So good to see Will back in the bigs, and hopefully he can kind of carve a spot for himself there with the Blue Jays.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we are not sure. We still have some feelers out for some big time interviews with either former Flames or Pacers personnel. Yeah. So we may have a Flame Central podcast tomorrow.
Or Monday.
I'm sorry, not tomorrow.
Yes.
Gosh, pregnancy brain.
Definitely not tomorrow.
We may, Monday the 7th, we may have some big time interviews.
Or nothing
we
at
may
all.
just not come to work.
So if you don't find us that day,
that's why.
This is your warning. We're taking the week off. If we get some of these big time things we're working on,
hopefully we'll land those.
We'll land it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll land those. If not, we will be back on July 14th. That's when we plan to start gearing up with previews and stuff for the football season. Get with Chad Scott, the head strength and conditioning coach. And just kind of, fall camp is starting that last week of July,
right
which
around
is
the corner.
Wild. So we'll have some good stuff the 14th if we do take the 7th off. So just a heads up on that. Everybody, please have a safe 4th of July. I feel like we shouldn't have to say this, but don't hold fireworks and blow your hand off.
I saw an interesting video
like that.
the other day.
Please be careful.
Have you ever seen, it was Roman candle wiffle ball. So it was like a wiffle ball bat.
You're giving people ideas.
Shooting the Roman candles, and you're trying to hit it. which it was a lot tougher than you would think.
I would think that would be very
Those
difficult.
things do not
What do
go
you mean?
straight. They're
Exactly.
diving and
Yeah, hit by pitch.
yeah,
hit
right.
By Roman
You're aware
candle.
one. Yeah, so don't do. I'm saying don't do that.
Yeah, like you're giving them ideas.
But it was an
though.
interesting video. What's the classic?
Oh my
what's the
gosh,
one of the
Matt.
guy? What's the famous video? The guy in the wheelchair who all the fireworks start going off and they're telling him to back it up, and he. You remember that one?
I need to see this.
You guys know what I'm talking about. I can't remember the guy. Terry. He's like, back at Terry. No, Terry, no. You haven't seen that one? I'll show her. I'll show her before.
I feel like this message needs to go to Joe Yock because he's probably one of those out there on the Yocktog compound and like.
Yeah, he's
not safe.
He's got a flamethrower.
Not safe. But my favorite ones are like the big, like they're like when they.
We went to the Thomas Road ones last night.
Oh, were they last night?
Yeah. Awesome. Always are.
Great?
We sit up on the hill behind softball.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Watch. Perfect. Great night.
Yeah, I love the ones that when they burst, they're like the really white and then they're gold and they like drizzle down gold sparkles. It's so pretty. But yes, I hope everybody has a great short week. 4th of July. Happy 4th of July. Like we said, you know what's going on with our future schedule. You got anything else, Matt?
No, that's it.
Awesome. Thanks so much for listening and watching. For Matt, I'm Emily. We'll see you then.